What does the conceptual framework of atheism imply about our universe within which we live? Atheism provides the beginning point of the debate regarding the size of our universe. Atheism says the universe is infinite in size. There are no boundaries to our universe. There is no causative force or God for our universe. Our universe had no beginning. The existence of a causative force is more important to us as individuals and as a species than it would first appear to the atheist. In fact, the existence of a causative force or God has a great deal to do with how we treat each other. Atheism begins the debate regarding the size of the causative force by defining her out of existence, defining that her size as so small she does not exist, or in the sense of God, he or it. With no causative force, we have a sense that life is momentary. We live life for now rather than for what is to follow. As such, life has value only for today. This leads to actions that are directed towards self-satisfaction and self-serving ends. This is not to say atheists are all self-serving or selfish. I would argue that they have big egos. Rather, it is saying that with atheism, the concept of a causative force, the soul, and eternity are missing and do not add to our understanding of why we must elevate our behavior of living for the moment. The lack of ideas of a causative force, God, the soul, and eternity establishes a universe lacking the idealism these ideas create. The lack of understanding that something may exist beyond our universe leaves us with only a limited universe for our dreams, idealism, understanding, and logic. Philosophy, religion, and science then become limited, just as do our dreams and imaginations. The value we place upon the individual depends upon the significance we perceive we have, with the perception that existence only occurs in our universe. We limit our existence to just this universe. A lot of assumptions. As such, we define our own significance to exist within the boundaries of this universe. This forces us to limiting our hopes, dreams, creative insights to concepts that pertain to what lies in our physical reality alone, in our universe. Both atheism and pantheism in this aspect are actually partial in their reach and therefore limited views concerning reality, metaphysics and ontology, and epistemology. This limitation transfers into the logic we use to determine what is and what isn't rational human behavior. If life only exists today, then the only rational behavior is that which leads to pleasure only. Thinking in terms of elevating one's behavior, or as in ethics or morality, because it might be beneficial in the afterlife, becomes an irrational act. Under atheism, intolerance of suffering love of one another, love of neighbor as yourself, justice being meted out in the afterlife, become irrational. How does the concept of atheism reinforce the concept of panentheism? Atheism professes the idea that there is no God or causative force. This contradicts observations and logic, and thus acts as an argument pointing in the direction of the idea of panentheism. Atheism bases its rejection of a causative force upon the logic that if the causative force created the universe, then there had to be something that created the causative force. Put another way, an atheist might say, if the causative force, or God, no creator, and still exists, then something could exist without a creator. That being true, then it is just as logical to believe it is the universe that had no creator, therefore there is no causative force, no God. The problem to this argument lies in the observation we make when investigating the universe. As we make observations of things around us, we notice that everything seems to have a beginning and an end, an alpha and omega. Scientists even believe the universe had a beginning and an end. If everything in the universe had a beginning and an end, it is so unreasonable to believe that the boundary of the universe itself had a beginning and an end. If the universe had a beginning, then something had to begin the process. The force that started the universe is what is called a causative force. The whole debate begins with atheism. There is no causative force, and leads into the discussion of the idea of a causative force existing, which in turn leads to the idea of the ultimate size of said causative force, full or true omnipresence, which lacks in atheism, pantheism, and classical theism. This leads to the idea of panentheism. The question of the causative force having a creator is not one we can argue at this point in time. It is interesting, it is very philosophical, but the point of our journey is to contemplate the size of the causative force relative to ourselves and our universe. It appears that atheism, by limiting the boundaries of our existence, would limit our ability to behave in an idealistic manner. Due to this, it appears that atheism would establish the need for the development of something greater than what it has to offer. Atheism points us toward panentheism.